Our moon, but was it always our moon, or did it belong to another planet? Well, Zecharia Sitchin, author of many books from ancient times, says that the actual moon was a moon around a planet called Tiamat that got smashed into many years back by the moons of a planet called Nibiru. So those moons smashed into Tiamat, and Tiamat broke off and became the asteroid belt and Earth. But the moon that was around Tiamat ended up being trapped in our orbit and becoming our moon. That's what he says. I'm unsure on that. I personally think that Tiamat broke off and ended up being the asteroid belt and Earth, as he says. But I also think the moon was part of it, because it's made up of a lot of the same materials as Earth compared to some of the other planets and stuff, and other moons. What do you think? Jesus will judge us from the deeds we've done. Well, not so much, actually. They've got that from the ancient texts, which only I seem to have actually worked out, so that's another reason why everyone seems to follow me. But it's to do with Ereshkigal and Nergal. Now, these are hounds of hell, and these two are in southern Africa, which is the lower world, as it was called. And she had statues made of the Anunnaki and some of the human kings. And if they did good deeds, those statues would be put out on display in various places around the world. If they did bad deeds, then those statues would be destroyed. And interestingly, how did they make statues? Well, they actually used moulds, I know, and they also had brick moulds. So if that's the case, that they did know how to make moulds, you can see all these bricks on the Great Pyramid are different sizes, so it wasn't much. Is Wormwood a planet or a meteor? Well, the actual description normally is given. Wormwood is the name of a star in Revelation 8, 10, 11. The third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star blazing like a torch fell from the sky on the third of the rivers and on the springs of water. Which is actually, if you go to the older text, as I always do, you'll find this here is where they're talking about the nuclear weapons that they set off, and lament is a sad day for them. And obviously we've got other evidence that they did use nukes, especially in India. We've got a lot of evidence that they used nukes there, so you just do your research and you'll see. We've also got evidence that they did use nukes in Egypt. So, Wormwood, in my opinion, educated, is that it was one of the nukes that they were referring to, that the Anunnaki used. Someone asked a really good question. They said, in the ancient texts, does God or the Anunnaki say, smite down any unbelievers, or tell us to do anything for the future? In other words, what they wrote about that we should carry on and do. And for my 40 years of research, reading the ancient tablets, etc., I've not come across any that will tell us, e.g. the future people, to go ahead and do anything. So the ancient tablets that I do read literally talk about what they did back then, e.g. Enlil said, I'm going to kill, humans because they're too noisy, or Enki's going to save someone because he wants humans to survive and told them how to build an ark. So if you go by the ancient tablets, no, there was no telling us what to do, so it's clearly man-made in my opinion. Just replying to this person who says you can't trust Zecharia Sitchin because this person believes he's part of a cabal. Now, Zecharia Sitchin wrote about aliens, our ancient aliens that created humans. So I'm not sure where you're saying you don't trust him. You don't trust him saying that there's aliens, because technically you'd think that the cabal wouldn't want him talking about aliens and our true history. But also, Zecharia Sitchin's not hiding the tablets. In fact, this here is a translation from 1912, way before Zecharia Sitchin came along. And it says the same things. Look, uniform parallels to the Old Testament, as you see. And then also we've got the British Museum's got the same tablets that talk about the same things as Zecharia Sitchin. So I don't know why you'd say you don't trust him, because I've done the research myself, separate from his books. But he is actually telling the truth. So just because he's part of a cabal, he's still telling the truth.